Hello everyone, back to tuning into today's second video. We've got the EC extended 30-day / 42-day European outlook for today's second video. So as was on Tuesday, this is your extended European outlook, and I shall get on it for you in a moment. Just say back first, video release today was our 6th UK weather forecast, and there'll be a 10 to 14 there with all of regular features coming up for you later on this afternoon as well. Please like, share and subscribe on all of today's videos and content. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing that for GavsWeatherVids. Right, okay, let's start off then with the situation this week. So this is the mean sea level pressure anomaly for week 1. 27th of November to 4th of December, and we see that this week we've got a blocking area of high pressure in the North Atlantic up to Green Iceland and then back to Scandinavia. Low pressure is sitting underneath it. This is a classic sort of cold scenario, cold setup. Winds therefore will be coming in from an east or a northeast direction across many parts of Europe actually. 500 millibar height anomalies, again showing up that blocking area of high pressure very nicely, all the way from Greenland through the Norwegian Sea towards Svalbard and whatnot, to low pressure, big trough of low set up underneath it. Again, between the low and the block, we bring in the wind from that east or northeast direction. So a cold week to come across much of Europe this week. The coldest anomalies to average are in the north, as you expect in this setup. So some parts of Norway, for example, going down to 10 degrees below average there, widely through Sweden and into Finland, also Denmark, with regard to temperature anomalies between 6 and 10 degrees below average, and more widely across many parts of northern, central, western Europe and over to the east as well, with somewhere between around 1 and 3 degrees above average, some places perhaps more than that, below average as well. So a cold week to come across most parts of northern Europe. It's not the same everywhere. Southern Europe actually looking milder, so Spain and Portugal standing out with above average temperatures there, 3 to 6 degrees through eastern parts of Spain, more widely Spain, Portugal around 1 to 3 degrees above average. Italy and into southern parts of the Mediterranean Sea, also above average temperatures there, and over into the southeastern corner, got a bit of a mix. So parts of the Balkans to through Romania, 1 or 2 areas are above average, 1 or 2 areas below average. Gets more generally above average though when we come down into Greece and also up towards the Black Sea as well. As far as precipitation is concerned, this week we've got a bit of a three-way split. So where we've got that blocking area of high pressure in the far north and out into the Atlantic, it's actually relatively dry through there. So although cold, it is pretty dry. And any precipitation that does fall, particularly through the Nordic regions, so for example eastern parts of Sweden, coast Baltic Sea, and southern parts of Finland, again near Baltic Sea, those areas are going to be getting snow, of course, with the temperature being so very cold. But generally it's drier across the far north and northwest of Europe through here. Then we have a much wetter swathe where we've got that trough of low pressure, and that's anywhere from like France, Spain, Portugal, all the way through Germany, the Low Countries to Poland, up towards Ukraine, Belarus as well. Some of the Baltic Sea states, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania are included in that as well. Again, will be primarily snow that's falling with that precipitation through there. And then in the southeast corner as well. So around the Adriatic into the Balkans, above average precipitation there. A little bit drier, perhaps down towards Greece. But I think overall, sort of east and southeast Europe looks a little bit mixed. The driest weather probably across the central bowl of the Med, actually. In terms of southern Europe. So, again, most Balearic Islands, Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza, Corsica, Sardinia, those could be relatively dry in the week ahead. Right, week 2 will be the 4th to the 11th of December. High pressure, perhaps retreating a little bit. The block may be retreating northwards a little bit, starting to allow some lower pressure to start coming in from off the Atlantic into western parts of Europe, maybe. 500 millibar heights are looking like that. So that still has quite a bit of blocking though. Just how much does the blocking reduce into week 2? It's going to be an interesting question. Low pressure is in the Atlantic, trying to bring milder air in to the west of Europe. We've still got the cold trough, I think, sitting across more sort of central and eastern parts of Europe maybe. Temperature still pretty cold in many areas. So we've got Spain and Portugal into the far southwest of France looking a little bit milder. But other than that, it looks quite cold actually. Ireland may be returning back closer to average, but as does Western France. But really from the UK eastwards, from Britain eastwards, it looks pretty cold, I have to say there. And again, the coldest temperatures were across northern parts of Europe once again, so particularly through those Nordic regions back to northwest parts of Russia. Again, we see those cold temperature anomalies of around 6 to 10 degrees below average in some places. Very central eastern parts of Europe looking pretty cold as well, and getting cold into the southeastern corner too, so winter starting to bite into the southeastern part of Europe as well, I think, as we go through into week 2. Going to get a little bit more unsettled out in the west as well, so above average rainfall with that low pressure coming in from off Atlantic into the UK, into Ireland, into France, into Spain, into Portugal. As that's coming into cold air, there could be snow potential here. I think particularly through northern and eastern parts of France, maybe into southern and eastern parts of England as well, and then probably transferring more towards rain for Ireland, western parts of France, and down to Spain and Portugal. Further eastwards, largely dry, with that block still sitting across northern Europe, so again Scandinavia, Nordic regions, down into Baltic Sea states, dry and average conditions there, but not completely dry, so any precipitation which does fall, again, will be falling mostly as snow there. And then in the eastern portion of Europe looks wetter through there. And as it's getting colder, I think the risk of snow will be increasing through many of those eastern parts of Europe next week. Southern Europe looking rather unsettled, really. Perhaps a little bit on the drier side for the eastern parts of Spain. But other than that, actually most parts of southern Europe and through the Med looking a little bit on the unsettled side. Week 3 will be the 11th to the 18th of December. So the block is retreating further away, heading up into the northwest of Russia then. Low pressure looks like it's taking over from the Atlantic. Higher pressure beginning to build across southern Europe as well, so that will start bringing warmer air into both southern parts of Europe. Elsewhere, probably just turning it a little bit milder with a return of the westerlies. The 500 millibar height anomaly. So we see that block retreating away to the northeast there. A little bit around Greenland, but much reduced. Low pressure again in the Atlantic. It looks like it's the driving factor, and with heights rising to the south, this should be starting to bring up milder air from off the Atlantic. So week 3 is when we get the milder push of Atlantic winds. Temperature anomaly show that the coldest areas retreating away to the northeast. Still there across much of the far north of Europe. So again, northern Norway and northern Sweden, and also Finland and into the Baltic Sea states. Still looking pretty cold through there to the northwest of Russia as well. But other than that, most areas are turning milder, most notably so across these western parts of Europe, where we've got the temperature anomaly going to 1 to 3 degrees above average. So clearly we're getting much more of a Atlantic influence pushing through there. And so precipitation is concerned, so turning more unsettled across northern and western parts of Europe as well. Wet and windy weather returning. Ireland, UK, France, Spain, Portugal, the Low Country, Belgium, Holland, Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, up into southern parts of Norway and Sweden too. Above average precipitation. Of course, as it bumps into the cold air, there will be a strong possibility of snow through these northern parts of Europe. Rain likely out in the west. And then down across southern parts of Europe with that ridge of high pressure, I would imagine there it's actually relatively dry and probably quite warm. So if you're fancying a little bit of pre-Christmas sunshine and a little bit of pre-Christmas warmth, then somewhere like Corsica, Sardinia or southern Italy could be doing quite well there, I think, for relatively pleasant weather, and into Greece as well. Okay, week 4 will be the 18th to 25th of December, taking us to Christmas Day, of course. Low pressure then, well and truly in the ascendancy across northern and western Europe, adding to the Atlantic. Still some high pressure though down across southern parts of Europe. The block has gone. You'll notice by this point all that northern blocking disappears, and that we revert back to an Atlantic-driven flow. It's all very similar, isn't it, to last December? Remarkable. We get 2 Decembers that are like identical. Wouldn't that be strange? Southern Europe again dominated by a mild ridge of high pressure from the Azores. The temperature anomaly looking largely above average in most places. Still, I suppose the coldest anomalies to average are in the very far north of Europe, but even there we're only going back to average at this point, or no signal. Most areas from the UK and Ireland and Portugal in the extreme west, all the way over to Black Sea in the east, with above average temperatures. And precipitation, again the wettest weather is with below pressure in the north and the west of Europe, so properly back to the deluge for western parts of Europe. In the south, well, there we've got drier than average conditions under that ridge. High pressure, quite pleasant weather for Christmas, maybe in the Med. Right, that's the first day look at done. Let's just go through weeks 5 and 6 data before we go. So week 5 will be the 25th of December to the 1st of January 2024, so Christmas Day to New Year's Day. Looking very, very unsettled. Low pressure really dominating across northern and western parts of Europe. The 500 millibar high tummy again showing that up very nicely. Deep low pressure in the north and the west of Europe. The temperature anomaly looks very mild in most places. The precipitation anomaly, as you'd expect, with low pressure in control for northern western Europe, looking above averages. Dry about as we come down to some parts of Europe. Could that be a stormy Christmas, maybe? It's quite a deep area of low pressure for week 5. Week 6 will be the 1st to the 8th of January, and remaining unsettled in this week. Possibly the low pressure a little bit more towards Scandinavia. Northern Europe might allow some slightly cooler or colder northwesterly influences to start coming to northwest Europe, but basically there's still low pressure driving in from off the Atlantic. The 500 millibar heights look like that. Again, very unsettled signal here for much of northern and also west Europe. Lots of low pressure dominating high pressure in southern Europe. So we revert to a classic sort of positive LAO type setup, really. Low pressure in the North Atlantic, high pressure from the Azores to southern Europe. Temperature only remains above average in most areas. But signs, very weak signs of a little bit of cooling taking place in the far north, but I think basically it's still a mild Atlantic-driven scene. And lastly, precipitation, as you'd expect, still looking on the western average side for most parts of Europe, but driving average down into the Mediterranean. So we start off with northern blocking. We start off cold and wintry for most parts of Europe. A change takes place through the middle part of December, exactly as we had last year, when we turn milder, wetter and windier, and then we go into a classically mild, wet, windy, maybe stormy Christmas for most parts of northern and western Europe, and that carries on probably into the new year. Okay, if you enjoyed this stuff, remember any forecast beyond 5-7 days comes with big health warnings and large pinch start attacks. So that's been the same grace. If you want a cold Christmas across northern Europe, don't be too downhearted, because, you know, it's a long way off, and this is all subject to change beyond week 1. And week 1, of course, is very cold. So please like, share, subscribe if you've enjoyed this 30-day forecast, and we'll have another one for you on Saturday with the UK and Ireland focus, and then next Tuesday with the wider European outlook with this model. Okay, we'll be back a little bit later on your 10 to 14 day. Come back for that later for this week's EC 30-day look ahead for the UK and the rest of Europe too. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.